What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Empty the Benches. Nick and Mac back with you once again. We have a lot to get into today. We've got an awesome interview for you guys coming up. You guys are really going to enjoy this one. But first things first, Mac, how is morale right now? Because I know you and I had a little bit of a rough end of last week into this weekend with how the trade deadline went down and everything. So just, host to co-host, how are you doing, buddy? I want to check in and make sure everything's okay.
Yeah, not great, honestly. This is by far the hardest trade I've had to deal with as a fan in any sport, honestly.
Wow.
So it's been tough, but I mean, much like the Orlov one a couple of years ago, as tough as it is, I understand it from a business perspective. That helps a little bit. It's one thing when you trade someone and you just can't even figure out what the hell your GM was thinking or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, it is what it is. But so far, it's just, the Capitals don't feel like the Capitals without John Carlson. That's going to take some getting used to. That's not going to happen overnight. So.
Yeah, I don't think I could have put that any better. It just has a totally different feel about it. I'm sure like halfway through the game, I'm going to be like, I haven't seen 74 out there. Like, what's going on? So
yeah,
it's going to mess with my head for a little bit. But like you said, it is a business. And hey, at least we can somewhat understand the return. So we'll get to all the trade deadline stuff towards the back half of the episode. But just before we get into everything, it was nice enough of Eva Erickson to join us. Fantastic interview with her talking about her time at Brown, where she's captain of the club hockey team. She's also a PhD student there. Her time on Survivor, she was runner-up in season 48, Mac. Does that sound right?
Yeah, they all jumble together, the numbers for me, but I think 48.
Gotcha. Yeah. So definitely an awesome chat with her. And then we'll get into the trade deadline stuff. After that, we're not going to do every trade. We'll probably just hit on the cap stuff and then the big ones that we know you guys want to hear about. But before we get into anything with Eva or trade deadline, I just want to give a quick shout out to Declan Farmer of the U.S. sled hockey team. He became the first American sled hockey player to reach 50 Paralympic points in his career. That is fantastic. And I don't know if you've seen any of the scores from these games, but we're putting up like 13, 14 goals a night in the sled hockey tournament. So I think they beat the Germans 13-0 the other day. So it would be sick if we could go 3 for 3 at the Olympics with gold medals in hockey. That would be fantastic.
That would be super cool. I was talking to somebody the other day about this. I wish they would just put the Paralympics like at the same time or like right after.
I agree.
The normal ones, because I feel like people are so like Olympicked out by now that it like gets glossed over, and it's like, dude, I want to be dialed into some of this more than I am. But
well, and especially like in the winter, like I feel like in the summer, if you do it like a month later, okay, you're still in August, so there's not much going on. But like now we had the NHL trade deadline right after the Olympics. We're getting ready.
Shit keeps moving. Yeah,
shit keeps moving. We're getting ready for March Madness, which we know is crazy. We had NFL free agency, which somehow is still dominating every headline because it's the United States, but World Baseball Classic, you've got NBA going on, so it's just a tough time, I think, to get eyeballs on something like that. So I agree. I think it would be cool if it was like maybe right when the NHL guys went back to North America or something.
Yeah.
Speaking of the NHL guys, we had one of the wildest hockey games I have ever seen in my entire life. I know you were texting about this in our group earlier, but the Sabres Lightning game from, what was that, Sunday afternoon?
Yep.
Classic cracked out Sunday afternoon hockey game in the Atlantic. That one was actually for first place in that division too, which is crazy. 15 goals in this game. 93 PIMs in the first period?
Yep.
Just an unreal game. Shit got out of hand early. I saw a couple hits on, Tage Thompson that just went unanswered, and it just seemed like shit kind of snowballed from there. So what was your impression after, either watching that game or watching the highlights back?
Well, first of all, it's pretty awesome that we live in a world where the Buffalo Sabres are first in the Atlantic, second in the Eastern Conference, and fifth in the entire NHL. That is awesome. I think hockey's better for it. We've talked about that a lot. I'm happy for the Sabres fans. But yeah, that game was just an instant classic. It looked like the Sabres were down and out. I mean, they were down by 2 goals at 2 separate times in the third period. And one in regulation in a very important game to get 2 points and shut your opponent out of getting any. So, massive win for them. The building was rocking. I mean, every goal, the Sellies were electric. It felt like a playoff hockey game in almost every regard. So, Very cool to see that, and hopefully that's just going to kind of lead the momentum for the next couple of weeks here. We're getting close, so
Yeah.
Playoff hockey right around the corner, and that was a good reminder of that game, how close we are.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is amazing to see Keybank Center bumping again. I don't even think it was called that the last time they had, legit playoff hockey there. I think the last time they were in first place in their division was 2010. I saw a graphic that I think it was TSN or someone put out where, like, what was going on in the world the last time the Sabres were in first in the Atlantic. And it was like Crosby had just scored the, like, Team Canada golden goal in 2010. Like, it was crazy to see because that was 16 years ago. But you heard in some of the players' voices after the game, like Darlene talking about how it's just amazing, like, feeling where we are right now versus like where those guys have been their entire career, because it's such a young team and so many of those guys haven't seen legitimate playoff hockey. So I'm fired up for them. I mean, I'm fired up mostly for the fans. I know those players go out there every night, but I mean, when you live in the United States equivalent of Siberia and then you get something like this, it kind of makes it all worth it. So, those people that deal with pounds and pounds of snow from October through probably now, it's nice to see them have something, because we know the Bills aren't going to do anything about that.
Yeah, great point. And by the way, I mean, I'm happy for Sabres fans, but I'm pretending that all those people aren't also Bills fans. I don't want them to be happy about stuff. So
yeah, you can only have one at a time, guys. This isn't Boston. I had this question the other day, thought about it in the car when I was driving, just because so many of, like, the teams and where they are this year, in the standings at this point, it's kind of a surprise. I know you and I, there were a couple teams this year that we thought would do a lot better. There's some teams that have done a lot worse, but I was thinking, what's the most surprising fall off for you this year? Like, right now we have the Panthers aren't in a playoff spot. The Devils kind of, just disappeared into nothing. I have no idea what the hell happened to the Winnipeg Jets or the LA Kings this season. Both of those teams, those were just a disaster. And then obviously, you have Toronto, who's, second to last in the Eastern Conference. Only the Rangers are worse than them. So out of all the teams that have kind of fallen off the face of the earth from where they were last year, some of those guys being in a pretty decent playoff position, who surprised you the most?
I think I'd probably have to go with the Leafs. I mean, the Panthers, we knew they'd have some injuries. It's definitely affected them more than I think we expected, but
right,
there was still some fall off expected. The Jets is a weird one, but, whatever. Rangers, I think we all thought they'd take a step forward. They didn't, is what it is. Kings are kind of a question mark, but they're still knocking on the door of the playoffs. For me, the Leafs are like, they're not going to make the playoffs. Like, you can just say that right now.
We've known that for about a month.
They have no chance. And I don't think anyone thought we'd be saying something like that in late February, early March.
Right.
So I think that one's the biggest shocker to me.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the Panthers, you make a great point. Like, we knew the injury problems that they were going to face this year. That was a team that has played more hockey than anyone has the last 3 seasons.
And we knew, like, Kachuk was injured, but
right.
I think, like, some of the stuff we didn't know Marshy was, like, as hurt as he is. And I don't know if you saw, but it came out today. They said he's not coming back anytime soon, and he could be done for the season is what came out today. So
yeah, that Barkov one too. I don't think you can state how much that affected a team like that. Not just the Panthers, but obviously you talk about Finland at the Olympics. I mean, that's a guy they could have absolutely used. It's their best player, their captain. So,
well, and people forget, like, yes, they won back-to-back cups, but let's not forget they were in the cup the year before that too. So they've gone the distance 3 years in a row.
Yeah,
and not every guy on that team has been there all 3 years, but a lot of them have, and that'll take a toll pretty quick.
Yeah, and we kind of saw that from Tampa a little bit. They won there too, and then they went to that next one against Colorado. Now, they didn't necessarily completely fall off, and I don't believe they missed the playoffs the following year after that.
I don't think so, but that might have been the year they got bounced earlier or something like that, and yeah, I don't know.
So, yeah, it is what it is. I think for me, most surprising, I'm going to have to go with the Jets. I mean, that was a team
that's a weird one for sure.
Kind of looked like they were putting it together last year. They had that crazy first round series against St. Louis, who I also think you could put in this conversation as well. But yeah, it looked like Hellebuck was, putting things together in the postseason. I know they lose Nick Ehlers to Carolina, but he was always hit or miss in the postseason anyways. So it's just a real head scratcher to me when you look at that roster and that locker room and find that team is nowhere near a playoff position right now.
Yeah, I don't understand that one at all. That head scratcher is the perfect way to describe that one.
Yeah, if you had to go inverse here, who do you think is someone that's like overachieved that you maybe didn't think would still be in a playoff position at this point in the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said Pittsburgh and the Islanders are both a little confusing to me. It doesn't totally make sense why both those teams are good, particularly Pittsburgh. Islanders, I think the Schaefer effect is damn near enough, and they've got great goaltending. That's enough to get you in a playoff spot.
Should be.
The Pittsburgh thing is weird, but am I really that shocked? I mean, we've been watching the Penguins find a way to be relevant my entire life, so
Correct.
Not that shocked. I think I'd probably go with somebody like Boston. I mean, I think they still may miss the playoffs, but they are currently in a playoff spot, and I just think that going into this season, everyone kind of thought their roster was kind of dog shit. I mean, it's not a great roster on paper, but they've hung in there just fine, so that one's a little surprising for me from the other way around.
Yeah, I think we all kind of expected them to be one of the three teams in the East that just kind of didn't hang with everyone else
Lottery.
this year. And
I think we all thought lottery.
Yeah, I could have seen it. Yeah, I got to go to the West. I got to go with Seattle. That's a team that I know the Pacific is what it is this year. I know none of the teams in the Pacific would be in a playoff position if they were in the East right now. Right. Whatever, it is what it is. But I kind of expected that team to just come back down to earth in around late December, early January. I felt like they were definitely overachieving out of sort of the new teams making a push in that division. But credit to them. They've stuck it out, and they're currently still sitting in that second wildcard spot in the West.
Yep.
I think that's all I've got for new stuff right now. Let's go ahead and take a quick break to talk about DraftKings, and then we're going to send it over to Eva Erickson.
DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is built for the fastest game on ice. With player props and live betting, every shift, every shot, every save gives you options to get in on the game with DraftKings Sportsbook. New customers, bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, now it's my pleasure to welcome onto the Empty the Benches podcast, Eva Erickson. If the name sounds familiar, any of you have watched Survivor Season 48, that is Eva Erickson. So, Eva, thanks for joining us. How's it going?
It's great. Yeah, I'm happy to be here and chat with you guys.
Yeah, so obviously, you've got a rich hockey background being from Minnesota. I'm a huge Survivor guy. I watched your whole season. I actually was just telling Nick I didn't get into Survivor when I was super young, but started watching it, I think, the season before yours because one of my high school buddies, Gabe Ortiz, was on the show.
No way.
And so that really got me into it. And now I've been locked into every season since. But just to kind of jump in, we always love to start our interviews asking what's your first kind of memories of hockey? How did you get into it at a young age? Walk us through how it all started for you.
Yeah, so I'm from Minnesota, so I grew up on the ice. My earliest memory was learning to skate when I was 2.5 years old out on a lake back home. And so, yeah, it runs deep. I started playing when I was 6 years old and just loved it. It was my favorite thing in the world, and it has been ever since. I've been obsessed, and I grew up playing in Minnesota, got to play in a state tournament, which was definitely a highlight there. Went off to college at Georgia Tech down in Atlanta. I was the first and only girl to play on the men's hockey team there. And then when I graduated, I went to get my PhD at Brown, where I currently am the captain of the men's club team here. So that's my big hockey spiel there.
Who was like the player you idolized growing up? Was that, I'm assuming, a Minnesota Wild player, or maybe like a dad or an uncle or a mom or an aunt or something?
I grew up wanting to be Jared Spurgeon, which
Nice.
everyone's like, that's so niche and random. But the thing is that he's a very small defenseman. And I've always been small, especially playing men's hockey. I'm very small compared to everyone I play against. But even on the women's side, I was a lot smaller than most of my teammates. I'm pretty short. But my dad would always point out and be like, look, like Spurgeon can do it, so you can do it too. Like, look at how physical he is. He plays the body. And so I like remember watching videos of him like teaching how to take a player that's bigger than you in a corner battle. And so I was like, I want to grow up and be like him. And so when he was made captain of the Wild, I was so excited about that. And now like I'm captain of a men's team too. So following in his footsteps.
That's awesome.
That's sick. Yeah, I mean, so back to Survivor for a minute. Like when I remember early on in the season, you made it very clear to everyone that like you had a hockey background, you're a hockey player. What throughout the Survivor season did you like rely on from your like background as a hockey player to like help you? Like how did it affect your ability to like go so far in the game?
I mean, first of all, like my hockey legs are my greatest gift physically.
Yeah.
And so I was always competing in the challenges at such a high level. Like the physicality of the game is what initially made me want to play Survivor. And I was aligned with other guys who were also athletes. And so that team mentality was really important to us. Like I think that was a really unique thing is so my number one ally, Joe, he played football at UCLA in college. And my other closest ally, Kyle, he played college lacrosse, D3 at Hampton-Sydney. And so we were three people who all played collegiate sports that were team sports. And playing sports as an adult is like a different mindset. And a lot of people out there had played sports at one point or another in their life. But by us like having that team mentality so ingrained in us to our success, I think that's what really kept us together and keeping that like loyalty all the way to the end, which is a very unique thing in the game of Survivor. And so that definitely was something that came in handy for me was just knowing that like, hey, we had this goal together and we're going to go after it. And so it was a bit different when we finally got to the end and I'm like, okay, now I have to compete for my own win here and like say why they shouldn't win. So that was a bit of a tough switch up for me when I am such a like team oriented person.
Especially with the hockey mindset, it's always we, it's never me. So like to go against everything that's been like ingrained in you, I'm sure since you were a child, has to be a total complete switch up, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I was like that is my biggest like what people always ask like, "Oh, like what's your biggest regret from Survivor? Like what would you do different so you could win?" And I was like, the only thing, I wouldn't change how I played the game at all. I was really proud of the game I played. I was true to myself. I know the kind of person I am. I'm loyal. I'm going to stick by that. But what I wish I could have done better was to not be so worried about maintaining my friendships with the two that I was on in the end with. That I knew there was ways I could have said things that would tear them down and build me up, but I chose to speak in a different way that I elevated my game without tearing them down. And I think if I had been a little bit more cutthroat and been willing to tear them down, I could have maybe switched to more votes my way, but that's okay at the end of the day because like that's the kind of person I am and that's just how it's going to be.
Sure. How did that whole process go down? Like, how does even like one go about getting on Survivor? What's the selection process like? And then how did you prep for that show?
Yeah, it's a very long process to get on. You start by just submitting a 3-minute video talking about yourself. I did it in the locker room after practice. I just set my phone up and started off by being like, well, I was going to do this on the ice, but the Zamboni driver came out and was looking at me weird. So here I am in the locker room, and you're probably wondering why I'm the only girl here in this locker room. And it's because I am the only girl on my team, and there's nobody else who can be in my locker room. And so just started talking about hockey and who I was and whatnot. And then got more into my background. And you have a lot of ground to cover in 3 minutes in that video. And so submitted that and didn't think much of it. And then I got a call from the casting director for my area. There's a bunch of casting directors, each with different states, and she wanted to do interviews with me. And then I got to interview with Jeff Probst, the host. And from there, had to do psychological assessments, a swim test, get medical evaluations, all these things to make sure that I was who they thought I was going to be on the island. And that took like a year. And then they gave me the call that, hey, you're going to Fiji. So that was pretty crazy. And just felt so lucky to be selected because there's thousands and thousands of applicants every year.
And I would imagine even like, I mean, it's cool even just to get like a call or like start going through the interviewing process, but there's still probably like hundreds of people who make it that far. And then it's like, to make it all the way to the final, 24? I forget how many, but.
We had 18 on my season.
Okay. Yeah. Insane.
So they cut people at each stage. Like there's no guarantees. It's a lot of like hurry up and wait. So like they'll ask you to do something and then you just wait to hear back. And if you don't hear anything, that's a good thing because it means you're still in the running. So it was a lot of that.
So then how, like once you found out like, okay, you're going, how long from that moment until you literally left to go?
So they given me kind of a switch up. They told us all that we were going to hear like a month before we were going. And so I wasn't expecting a call from them telling me if I was going or not until like, I guess I went at the end of June. So I was expecting to get told in like late May, but they called me and were like, hey, we need you to do like one more thing. And this was like in April sometime. And we're like, we could use you to like jump on a Zoom call right now. We're just going to record it. And I didn't think anything of it because I was like, oh, it can't be them telling me. So I got on that call and that's where they told me that I was going. And that clip was then used in the opening scene of my season. They showed that for everyone because they shocked us all. They were like, oh my gosh. So we got a little bit of leeway, like a little head start on that. So we had like 2 months. And in that 2 months, you have to like send them all the wardrobe items that they're requesting in the specific color that you need. And I was still like lifting every day and trying to be like bulking up as much as I could. And I'd been bulking for quite a while, like being like, yeah, they're going to pick me. So I'd started like bulking in.
There you go. That's like, the confidence that got you there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was like, I gotta put on some weight. So I had worked really hard to gain a lot. That was the heaviest I ever weighed. I mean, I was benching 170 in the gym before I left. And I was moving massive amounts of weight. So I was like, I'm so ready for this. And then little did I know I'd be competing against people like Joe and David, who were literal superheroes, massive giants out there.
Those
I'm
guys
like,
are crazy.
Come on. We had like the most athletic season of all time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I went out there being like, I'm going to be the next challenge beast. Like after seeing a season that had like an old woman win all the challenges, I was like, I can do that. And then of course they like totally do a 180 and put all the athletic people on my season. So, but no, it was super fun. But yeah, definitely anyone going on Survivor should bulk up before they go because you're going to lose it all.
What would you say is like the hardest part? Like I always watch the show and I'm like, oh, it'd be so much fun to go. But like, I just don't think I could deal with like being hungry for even like a day. Like I get a headache if I don't eat lunch, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, the weird thing is that you don't, well, at least I didn't feel it like in my stomach. Like I didn't get that pit where you're like, oh, I'm like starving. No, it was more of like a mental thing where my body knew it wasn't getting food. So I could still like go about my day, collect firewood, go do the challenges, do whatever. But mentally, I was just constantly thinking about food. And then also, I would feel so weak where like I would stand up and be so dizzy that I'd have to sit right back down. Like I would just black out. And that was really scary. I'd never had that. And so that was something very weird, but there's nothing for you to really do about it other than just be like, well, I just am going to sit here for a while because there's no food to eat, like other than coconuts to try to like replenish that like weakness that you have.
That's insane. I can't imagine trying to do that, let alone with, TV cameras everywhere. Like, I feel like I would just get very cranky and not like want to participate in anything at all.
Yeah, I think that's part of why they do the psychological testing is to determine like
That's
who's
a
going
good
to be
point.
able to still be positive and like function while they're under the most stress they'll ever be in.
Yeah, absolutely. What
Yeah.
did you take like from your hockey career, aside from I know you mentioned the legs, but just like what else was that you could pull from your hockey career that you were like, I have an ace up my sleeve that no one else does?
I mean, this is kind of a strange one, but for answering questions in tribal council, um, whenever whenever Jeff would go around and ask people things at tribal council, people would give away so much about their strategy because they're trying to answer his question and not think about the fact that everyone else is listening to you, right? And so they're trying to like do their best to articulate what they're thinking, what they're going to do in the vote. And I was like, no, none of that. I would answer with like the same thing, which is why they hardly ever showed me talking in tribal council is because my response was just, I was like, I gotta find the survivor equivalent of, oh, we're gonna get pucks deep. We gotta play discipline in the defensive
Yes.
zone, forecheck hard in the offense. Like, I was trying to find my version of that. And so
That's so
my
awesome.
version was like, Jeff, like I've made some really good allies out here and I'm sticking by them and I'm gonna do what I said I was gonna do tonight. And I would say that like every tribal council. And he hated
That's
it. He would always
awesome.
like give me this look, like that's all you're gonna give me. But like I was like, I know this works and it's not going to get me in any trouble out here. And so and I was actually told by other people, like Camilla, she was like, yeah, every time you said that, I was like, yeah, I can trust Eva. She's going to do what she said she was going to do. And I'm like,
Yep.
exactly. Everybody likes it. It's clean. It's easy. Like we're playing the systems. So
Yeah. The
that was so
universal
awesome.
like hockey player answer to the interviews solves
Yeah.
all problems. It either gets them to stop asking or like in your case, then they don't show it. So win-win, right?
Yep.
Exactly.
That's so good. I've always thought that too. Whenever they're showing like asking questions around tribal, I'm like, I would not be answering this question like as honestly as everyone does, but
Yeah. Yeah, no, because it's also like Jeff like is pretty intimidating if he doesn't like your response. Like he'll like probe in for more and like
Yeah.
give you this look. But I was used to that. I was like, yeah, you can hate me for this, but I'm sticking by it.
So is he just like on all the time? Like he's not really ever letting his guard down around you guys at all?
No, like even when the cameras aren't rolling, he loves Survivor so much and is just so full of energy. He is the same dude off camera as he is on. He just swears
Wow.
way more when he's off camera. It is so funny. I was not expecting that. Like, but no,
That's
he
funny.
clearly loves what he does and he's so good at it.
Yeah, he is. He's incredible.
Definitely. Earlier you mentioned, you got the chance to play in one of the Minnesota State high school hockey tournaments. For someone who's not from Minnesota, just talk about what that experience is like and then what it means to someone growing up there.
Oh my gosh. It is the biggest cultural moment in Minnesota that you can possibly have. Like the high school hockey in Minnesota is huge. It's like high school football in Texas where everybody really rallies around their hometown team and if you can make it to the state tournament, then you are playing in front of just thousands of fans. Like when I went to the state tournament my junior year, they like canceled school basically. They bussed people from my high school to the XL
Wow.
Energy Center to come watch us and it was packed. And so you're playing on the same ice as the Wild and just get this electric feeling of support from like your whole community. And then and then the tournament has just so many different levels of like, yeah, that's Minnesota where they have the hockey hair that everybody like does crazy hair and they make a video about it. And like, it just brings so many eyes to this amazing sport where even though I graduated high school in 2019, I've been like streaming the high school state tournament every year since then. And I like don't even live in Minnesota anymore, but I am always like tuning in and so many people do because it is just the best hockey you're going to see in high school anywhere.
Is there a moment that like stands out for you where you just had like a little bit of like, like this was the best moment for me? Or is there like a pinch me moment at all? Maybe like lying up on that blue line for the first time or something and looking up? I can't imagine what that feels like as a high schooler.
Yeah, I mean, my skate up on that first one where everyone has their cool skate ups and the guys will like flip their mullets and whatever. For mine, it happened to be my sister's birthday that day. And so on my skate up, I said, happy birthday, Jenna.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
So yeah, I was like pretty proud of that for her. And then I think the one of the moments that I remember that kind of sucks to remember is we upset Hill Murray in the first round, which was huge. We were like front page of the sports section and I was like, that's me, I'm on the newspaper. But like then in our second game, we had to play number 1 seed Centennial. And that was when like Gabby Hughes was on the team at that time. And
Okay.
I think, and who was her counterpart? There was another woman who was now in the P-Dub who was also on the team, and they had this just dynamic duo on Centennial, and they absolutely turned me inside out. And I was like, that was embarrassing. They beat us like 6-1, and
Oh,
I just
wow.
remember getting walked by Gabby Hughes. She didn't score, but I just remember it and being like, oh God. And I got off on the bench, and one of my teammates was like, don't worry, that's the best player you'll ever play against. And she was. So,
True.
so that was okay. But yeah, we lost that game, went on to win third in the tourney, which we were really, really pumped about.
That's amazing. What was that transition for you like going from that to playing at Georgia Tech?
Oh boy, switching from girls hockey to boys hockey, that was
Yeah.
quite the change because now I'm playing checking and I'm playing
Right.
against guys who are like twice my size, and especially down south where there is no girls hockey, a lot of guys, they really targeted me because of that and were just absolute assholes. It was really horrible seeing like that people took like the ponytail as a target to come and light me up. But I
Right.
really worked my ass off and I earned my spot on my team. Like I had to try out like everybody else, and some guys were cut and I made the team. And um I had to learn a lot as a like playing men's hockey, but it made me become a better player. I got way faster. I kept my head up all the time. That was definitely a new one for girls hockey. You can look down and you're fine. Boys, no. And so that was it helped a lot to have the support of my team, where I made really, really close friends with my teammates, that they like just saw me as another member of the team, not that it was like, oh, she's a girl. And so that support was great. But then I still did not get as much play time as I deserved, because there was times where the coaches were like, well, if we put you out, somebody's going to come like just kill you, because we like, it doesn't matter if you're better than some of our other defensemen. It matters that like we know that this team is not going to respect you on the ice. And
Right.
that was really hard to have down south. But then moving back up to the north here at Brown, now I play on the first D pairing. I am always like get way too much ice time sometimes. I'm like, this is tough. But I feel a lot more confident in my game, and I don't have to worry about the same kind of bullshit, because guys are used to seeing girls play hockey and they get it, that it's like, hey, there's not a girls team for me to play on here. I'm a PhD student, so I can't play on the D1 team due
Right.
to Ivy League rules where there's no graduate students on varsity teams. And so my only option is to play club, and I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun, but it is definitely, it's been a lot better playing up north here than it was down south. But I think things are changing down south as well, as the hockey's growing. It's definitely changed a lot since I graduated 5 years ago or 4 years ago or whatever. And so I know that there's probably a lot more respect for female players down there now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're obviously a Minnesota Wild fan. Have you been following the Frost as well?
Yeah, I got to go to their championship game with the Walter Cup last year in Minnesota. That was really, really cool. Super pumped for them. Haven't been able to go out to a game this season so far, but I'm going to the Fleet game at TD Garden. I have one of my best friends. Her sister is Sophie Shirley on the Fleet, and so
Oh,
I'm really
nice.
excited to go watch her play.
That's so cool. Yeah, and then obviously, not just Frost, but lots of P-Dub players in the Olympics this year was super fun to watch. And obviously the U.S. women's team was incredible. I'm sure you followed that as well.
Oh, that was electric.
Yeah, I mean, hard to be mad about that. What a tournament. I mean, made it a little bit close for us at the end, but not too bad on the ticker. So
the gold medal game, I also am an NCAA Hockey East official, and so I ran
nice.
Division I women's hockey games, and I unfortunately had a game during the gold medal game. But all these girls on the ice were also like, we don't even want to be playing right now. We want to watch the gold medal game, and
Right.
so I got to I was watching some of it on my phone in the locker room, and then we get on the ice for the first period, and I'm like, oh man, like I don't know what's gonna happen. Like we were down, this is tough. And during one of the media timeouts, they turned out all the lights and started playing Freebird and like doing like
that's
blue and red
awesome.
lights everywhere. And I was like, I think that means we won. Let's go.
I would have just taken my phone and propped it up in the penalty box and then gone over there at every whistle.
Oh yeah, I'd
Calling a ref meeting every chance you get.
So what's the reffing experience been like for you? That's always something that I think in this sport we definitely need more of. People always need to, pay better attention to referees and what they go through. Certainly we all know what hockey parents can be like. So how has your experience been with that?
Yeah, I mean, I started reffing when I was 13 because, like, when you're at the rink all the time as a player, it's hard to just, like, get a random shift job when it's like, "Oh, I have
Right.
games all the time and stuff," you know? So, being a ref, I could just stay a couple hours extra, do a few, like, bantam, peewee games, whatever, make a few bucks, and so it was really flexible, liked it, and turned out I was pretty good at it, and so I stuck with it, and, was then like, when I moved down to Atlanta, wasn't able to play very much there, would just kinda or ref very much there, would just kind of ref when I came home for winter break. But when I moved back to the north, up here in the Northeast, I was able to do a lot more refing. There's so much hockey in this part of the country, which is great. And I had the opportunity to try out to do college. And I was then selected for the Hockey East officiating team, which is a phenomenal conference. And so getting to ref at BU, BC, Northeastern, Holy Cross, Providence College, like all these schools that have phenomenal programs are historic and these beautiful arenas. It's been such a great way to see the women's game when I didn't get to play at that level. Like I went to school for school. I love Georgia Tech, was so happy to be there. Loved playing men's hockey, but it would have been I like every kid's dream is to go and play D1 hockey. And so getting to be involved in this amazing level of hockey that I never played, it's a great way to stay connected to this game and see the next rising stars. I mean, you just saw how many college players were on that Olympic squad and how phenomenal they were. And so me getting to be out there, drop pucks with these women who are amazing athletes is fantastic. And I love doing it. It's has made me a better hockey player too, learning to read the game differently. It's really awesome and highly recommend to anyone who wants to stay involved in the game.
Yeah, you have the inside scoop now. I know you mentioned, all the amazing buildings they have up there and the amazing programs. Do you have a favorite rink that you've either gotten to tour or see or play in? Is there one that sticks out to you?
I mean, I really like working at Boston College.
Okay.
Their rink is gorgeous, but one that also kind of strikes a chord is Matthews Arena, which is where Northeastern played,
Yep.
past tense, since they're tearing it down. But I had what I think 3 games there in the first half, and
Wow.
so I was really happy to get to work there at the beginning of the season. I had a bunch of games there last year, and now the second half, that I feel really bad for their team. They're having to play at a bunch of different random rinks, and
Yeah.
like, oh, that sucks for their program because that was such a gorgeous rink.
Oh, it was beautiful. What was that, like 100+ years old, I think?
Yeah, it's apparently like the oldest rink in the history or something, and
That's
that's where the
crazy.
Bruins initially played too.
Wow. That's amazing. What are your thoughts on, the Wild going into the playoffs this year? Obviously, the huge deal with Quinn coming over earlier. I'm sure everyone's excited about that. But what are you fired up most for about this team right now and the direction they're headed?
I think we have a great chance at it. I think we've been making a lot of moves that matter for right now. And people are all like, "Oh, the Quinn Hughes trade, oh, like he's just going to leave in 2 years." I don't care about 2 years. I think we have the pieces now, and I'd love to see those get into action as long as our guys can stay healthy, because that's been something we've had issues with in the past, especially with Kaprizov, that he's had injuries and he's someone that
Right.
we need to have healthy. But seeing him and Boldy just really step up and be phenomenal players, adding Quinn to that roster, hilarious that now we have the both Foligno brothers out there together, which is just so great to have this awesome squad that I really think for once we have a shot here. But we have been kind of cursed the last few years. I think we're kind of the new Leafs with the whole first round exit thing. So I really hope that doesn't happen again, but we'll have to see how it shakes out.
I think you have like 40 more years of losing before you become the Leafs. So I think
Yeah.
you're safe there.
Well, yeah, I guess we'll wrap up soon, but I guess in closing, is there any advice you would give to like young women hockey players looking to get into the game at a young age?
Oh my gosh, just go after it. It's the best sport in the world. I've had so much fun. I mean, hockey is everything to me. It's my passion. I mean, I love playing, I love reffing, and not only that, I also now I work in hockey as I'm an ambassador for the Culture City, the sensory partner of the NHL. So making the game more accessible and inclusive for people with autism and other invisible disabilities. Really important to just grow this game on all aspects, whether that's with women, with people with disabilities, just being inclusive and knowing that, hey, this game is for everyone. Being a fan, being a player, like hockey is an amazing sport, and it's changed my life. So highly recommend to anyone interested in playing.
Yeah, I saw you got to do that sensory tour with the Netters guys. What was that at Crypto? So, like,
Yeah.
what are some of the things that NHL teams are doing now to make it more inclusive for everyone?
Yeah, so Culture City is this awesome nonprofit that they provide training for employees at these arenas so they understand how to deal with people who have different sensory needs. And then they also supply sensory bags and sensory spaces. And so the sensory bags have headphones, have sunglasses, some fidget tools, things that like a communication card. So if somebody is nonverbal, they're able to communicate their needs. And then they provide spaces too. So that was a sensory pod that I showed with the Netters guys. They're awesome. Had a lot of fun with them out in LA. And that pod is like a small version where you can step in there. It has like noise reducing walls
Oh,
and
that's
has like
cool.
these lava lamps, things that are calming, and fidget tools on the wall. So you have a space to go if you are getting overwhelmed. And in other arenas, they have bigger spaces. So they're like larger rooms. I do a lot of tours of these things on my social media to kind of show what that looks like and where you can find them. And so it's not just for people with autism, but also for people with PTSD, Alzheimer's, ADHD, anxiety, and just small children who might be overwhelmed from the loud noises and things. Because
Sure.
hockey games, they're so much fun and they're so loud and exciting, but that can
Yeah.
be really hard for a lot of people. And so
Sure, yeah.
like that shouldn't be something that keeps someone away from enjoying the game. So if you have a place to go that you can feel safe to come down and get grounded, then we're more likely to have more fans there. And so that's awesome that I get to help Culture City kind of spread the word that these are available because they've actually been in a lot of rinks for quite a while. People just don't know about them. And so
Right.
I'm excited to kind of like share that news so people know what they are. I got a, let's see, Culture City jersey
Oh,
right
that's
there.
so
So look
cool.
for that
Nice.
logo.
Oh,
That's sweet.
awesome. That
Yeah,
sounds
yeah.
like a fantastic program and something that's amazing to be a part of.
Yeah, it's been great. And so they I kicked it off with them by they sent me to the Stanley Cup Game 5 last year and that was the coolest thing ever and now
Oh,
I
yeah.
have this great opportunity to travel around to different rinks whenever I have the time. And so this upcoming weekend I'll be going down to DC to go to the Capital One Arena and show how they have sensory support at
Oh, yeah.
Caps games. So yeah.
Let's go.
Always love some love for
that's
the home
our
team.
There you
home
go.
team. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks so much, Eva, for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, this has been great.
Big thanks to Eva for hopping on with us. That was a fantastic chat. We really hope you guys enjoyed it. So I know I enjoyed it. Mac, how about yourself?
Yeah, I've recently, as I mentioned in the interview, I recently become like a huge Survivor guy. Didn't grow up watching it, but have been locked in on the last few seasons ever since I had my high school buddy that I mentioned on the show. So was a big fan of Eva on her season, especially as soon as she mentioned she was a hockey player on the show. I was like definitely rooting for her. So yeah, that was a cool one. I always love like the wide breadth of guests we've been able to get on this show
Yeah.
over the years, from players to coaches to announcers and just people involved in the hockey community in all sorts of different ways.
Yeah, I don't think I typically ever watched that show growing up. And then I remember watching an episode with you guys when I was out in Milwaukee most recently. And I was like, I need to give this another go around now, especially because now I can sort of, go on the app and binge it all. And
Yeah.
so I'm definitely going to have to go back and rewatch that season over again.
It's fun, and it's like one of those shows that it's so easy to just kind of throw on and like be on your phone a little bit, but
Right.
like dial in when they're doing a cool challenge and be like, oh shit,
Yeah.
what are they doing now?
Yeah,
So-
good background noise for sure.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get into the trade deadline recap. So just for the sake of our own mental organization, let's just knock the Caps out first, and then we'll get to the rest of the league second. So
Yep, let's get it done.
all right, first and foremost, where were you and what were you doing when you saw that Nick Dowd got traded?
I had literally just woken up. I was
Same.
tired, very, very tired, had trouble falling asleep for whatever reason the night before. And
It's because you
like-
knew. You smelled it.
yeah, I knew something wasn't right. I'm like forcing myself to get out of bed, and quite literally the first piece of information that I'm fed from the outside, from outside of my bedroom walls, I look at my phone, and I don't remember if I opened Instagram or if it was a text from you or one of my
Right.
other buddies, but the first thing that was fed to me that day was Nick Dowd was traded, and I was like, oh, you have got to be fucking kidding me. I want to go right back to bed right now.
Yep.
and pretend that Thursday is not happening. But yeah, I had to soldier on, drive to work. That was a very solemn, silent drive. Stuck in traffic as usual.
Not the
30
right day
minutes.
to cut you off for sure.
No, no.
I just like, you know, those scenes in like a movie when like someone oversleeps and then they just like sit straight up. I like grabbed my phone off my nightstand and like hit it to see like what time it was, and then saw that and just sat straight up. And I was like, this has to be a joke. Like fact checked it like 3 times, went on Twitter, Instagram, all the apps, and I was like, this is just
it also
bad.
You're like, please tell me I'm getting puck empreed right now.
No, exactly. Like have
on.
this like, and because it hadn't been like officially announced yet, like the deal hadn't gone through. It was just like saying this is what's going to happen. So I was just hoping it like fell through or something, but not the case.
What hurts the most too is that one. It always sucks when it's something that isn't being tossed around as a rumor at all, and it just was not on my fucking radar. Like. In any regard that he might be getting moved. I mean, it makes sense after the fact, but no one was talking about Nick Dowd being traded. So I was like, okay, that's not going to happen. And then bang. So
yeah. So they send Dowd, who's 35, to Vegas, and in return the Caps get goalie prospect Jesper Vikman, a 2029 second rounder, and a 2027 third. Now that we've had some time to digest this, what are your thoughts on the return on the deal as a whole?
I mean, it's a pretty good return. That's why you make the deal. It's a huge, huge seller's market this year in the NHL. I think, you know, when we saw what certain other guys were getting moved for and the returns on some of them, it's like, well, shit, we've got players better than that. And so I get it. I get it from a business perspective. And I think it's I mean, if anything, they might have overpaid a little bit, and that's no knock on Nick Dowd, but he's an aging 4th line center basically. So you know, to get a second and a third and a prospect for a guy like that, it is, you know, you did your job as the GM if that's a return.
Yeah, I think a lot of deals that went down this year at the deadline, they were paying deadline pricing. You know, there's one in particular. I'm thinking about that one where, you know, Braden Shen goes to the island. That's deadline pricing. So, you know, when you step back, take emotion out of it, and look at this one as a whole, it does make sense on paper. But, you know, a guy that you and I have gotten to meet before, such a great guy, and just, you know, absolutely one of the emotional leaders, both on and off the ice for that Washington Capitals team for sure.
Yeah. Nope. And, yeah, I mean, it sucks because, you know, we all hate Vegas on this podcast, but for real, all the best, wishing him luck there and success there. So.
Yeah, not the first time we've traded away a bottom 6 center to Vegas. You know, unfortunately, we lost Stevie there too. So, you know, Vegas, take good care of him. You're getting a gem, that's for sure. But
although Stevie got selected, didn't he? Or
I thought he got dealt there after.
You're right.
The cup.
He did get dealt. That's right. Yeah.
So if things couldn't have gotten any worse, they did, you know, what, like 12 hours later?
Jesus, yeah.
Another one, wake up and we find out that, you know, one of the 3 things we thought absolutely was just never going to happen happened, and John Carlson is traded to the Anaheim Ducks for a 2026 first and a 2027 third. What was the first thing that went through your mind when that happened?
So I was actually still awake for this one. I was
okay.
This was Thursday night I was out at the bar. And I had, based on, I think earlier in the week, I'd seen a lot of like Carlson trade rumors, and I was like, that's not going to fucking happen. And then it wasn't until the Dowd thing earlier that morning that the wheels started turning, and I was like, okay, I'm actually a little worried this could happen, just based on what the returns are, and if someone calls and offers a first rounder and whatever else, it's like, yeah, it's going to be hard to say no. Yeah. So I did what I always do around this time of year when I don't want a certain player to be traded. And I text my dad and I say, please tell me we're not going to trade blank player. And, you know, most years he'll be like, no, we would never do that, whatever. Like, don't worry about it. That's just rumors. He didn't exactly say that when I texted him, and he didn't know. He was like, I'm not sure, but I can't confidently tell you that it's off the table, because he was thinking the exact same thing I was, that if somebody offers, I can't see them saying no. And so as soon as that, I was having that conversation over text at the bar. And as I'm doing this, I started being like, oh, fuck, this actually could happen. Like,
yeah.
and so that kind of helped because I was able to prepare myself a little bit, like start being like, okay, I have to actually prepare myself now for a world where this could happen. And then we were about to leave the bar. I had just closed my tab. And then I got a text from one of my buddies that just said, how you feeling? And I was like, that's weird.
That's never a good thing.
I didn't know. I was like, I'm not sick. What is this guy talking about? And then I was like, oh no. And I opened fucking Twitter and I was like, holy shit, it actually just happened at like 1 a.m. Needless to say, didn't leave the bar right then.
Went right back in and opened that tab right back up.
Needed a little bit more to process that. And then Friday, was a rough morning. But
yeah, did you wake up and go, that was a dream, right?
Wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Wanted it to be. Almost went to bed in my Carlson jersey on Thursday night.
Wow.
But, yeah.
So that one broke at like, 1 a.m. Eastern time, so it was around midnight your time?
Yeah, I was wrapping up at the bar around midnight, I think.
So I was out, like, asleep, not out at the bar like you, and genuinely got one of the best night's sleep of my life.
Oh.
Woke up and, like, instantly I was just like, yep, that night's sleep doesn't count. Now I'm pissed off. Like, I was furious when I saw it. And I don't even think I looked at the return, like, for another hour or two. And then I went back and was like, okay, let's let, my 10-year-old Caps fan inside of me dominate everything, and saw the return. And, as soon as you see a first round pick, you're like, okay, I get it. The guy's 36, but, it's just frustrating. It's without a doubt, in my opinion, the greatest Caps defenseman of all time. Yes. I know that,
no doubt,
older people are going to be like, well, Rod Langway. And I'm like, Carlson played like 500 more games than him. Like,
it's Carlson by a
could
mile.
Also skate. So not to mention all the Team USA stuff too. So obviously it's a heartbreaker. I totally echo what you said at the beginning of the show. It's probably the hardest trade that, I've had to deal with. And, it wasn't easy watching everyone else talk about it too.
I was going to say the hardest part is watching like Wilson get choked up, Ovi get choked up, Stromer get choked up. Like, it's just like, God damn, man.
Like, especially because like him, Willie, Ovi, they're the last three from like the cup winning team. And they're kind of the last three from, like the Rock the Red Caps era that we grew up in. So, hearing Ovi say it's the hardest day I've had here in Washington was heartbreaking. Seeing Wilson get choked up when he's talking about, Carlson teaching him how to be a dad and talking about his kids, was just crazy. So, Cap's all-time leader among defensemen in goals, assists, points, and games played. Guy is an absolute legend. And Ted, I swear to God, if you don't retire 74, we're going to have some serious problems.
It'll be in the rafters. I'm hoping somehow he just like re-signs with us this summer, and
so that's what I wanted to ask
like
you.
A 2-year deal, and
like best case scenario here is Anaheim gets bounced in the first round.
Yeah,
he was just there on a nice little Newport Beach, winter spring vacation, comes right back, and just signs for a year, and then we're good.
Yep. Yeah, or 2 or whatever. I mean, the thing is, he's playing some of the best hockey this year. You've got delusional Caps fans being like, thank God, get this guy. He was so slow and old.
God, it was
it's like
almost a point per game at 36
Dude, he's literally like our best player, and every game he doesn't play, we lose. Like, it's unbelievably stupid. But I would easily take him for 2 more years at the right price.
100%.
So, we'll see.
I would have taken him for 2 more years at what he was still making.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Okay, so that sucked. I'll say this again later, but in my opinion, worst deadline of all time.
Yep.
the Caps, what they got out of the deadline for the rest of the day, it almost didn't matter, but they got David Camp from Vancouver for a 6th-round pick. That's basically nothing. And then they got Timothy Liljegren from San Jose for a 2026 fourth that belonged to Vegas. So again, not their money anyways. So
Right.
Thoughts on either of those deals? Are you happy with any of them? Or
I like them. I mean, the Camp thing is like a backup replacement for Dowd if like Lapierre doesn't work out, or if like one of the younger guys can't figure it out, then you got somebody like Camp to throw in there. So fine. Liljegren, it's like, it's nothing flashy, but he played with Sandin in Toronto. They played together. They were buddies.
Right.
So maybe there's some kind of thought process there where it's like these guys have chemistry, and I don't know, maybe they talked to Sandin and we're like, would you like it if we brought somebody like this in? Like, I don't know, but
it kind of reminds me of two moves the Caps have made recently with defenders, and that was Joel Edmondson and Eric Gustafsson. Not in terms of how they play, just in the fact that they were like, we need a guy, and you are a guy.
Right, right. Yeah, nothing flashy, but I mean, if you look at both of those moves, they worked out nicely for us for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So, like, I fully expect to be like, I'm sure he'll be a serviceable guy that we'll end up liking, but...
Yeah, for sure. Last thing I want to say on the Caps before we move on to the rest of the league, the statement that was made by Chris Patrick, the GM, today was essentially what we've kind of been seeing the writing on the wall for the last, couple of years. They're trying to do another little bit of a retool here I'll go ahead and condense his words. He was talking about moving some older guys and building for the future here, which as the GM, that is his job. But I was just curious on your thoughts on what he released earlier, or what was released that he said.
When he said like passing the torch or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't really know what to make of that. That almost felt like a not news quote, like a quote that like Instagram pages use to like stoke the pot when there's really
or
nothing.
just make a graphic for.
Yeah, and it's like this doesn't change anything that we already knew, kind of thing. It's like
no,
so I didn't really put too much stock into it. It was just like, I mean, they probably asked him like, what's your mindset for this team, and he basically said what we've all been watching him do. So I don't know. It is what it is. We all, like you said, we've all kind of known that's the direction for a couple of years now. So
yeah, I think they did one of the better retools, a couple of years ago. You get a guy like Strome, Chychrun, Dubois. Those moves have worked out really, really well. You kind of shifted the focus of the franchise here a little bit. So, if that's the direction we need to go in, then so be it. I think, like you said, we've known this is coming for a while, and there's not really much you can do about it. It's just the way the world works. It's the cycle of sports and the salary cap era too. So, but it does not make it sting any less. That is for sure. I saw one just like Instagram graphic that pissed me off today. I forget who did it, but like just taking like all of like Ovi's comments and like condensed them down into a headline that said the end is near. And I was like, if you keep talking like that, it's going to be real near. But, it is what it is. And hopefully they can just reset and, do well in the draft here, which the Washington Capitals usually do very well.
Yeah, we do draft well. So like getting these draft picks, it's good.
I think the only real surprise or shock for me is this coming when the team is 4 points out of a playoff spot.
Yeah. I mean, we also haven't improved that since, but it's hard to do after two bombshell locker room trades like that. Of course, you're probably going to drop the next couple, but
the comment that Lappy made after the Dowd trade, I don't know if you saw this, where he's like, I just keep thinking, what would have happened if we had beaten Utah?
Yeah, and every player is going to like think like that, and I mean, there's no telling if that would have saved things or not, but
yeah, it is what it is. Let's go ahead and move into the rest of the league. I think we were all expecting, a Trocheck move, a Robert Thomas move, a Jordan Kyrou move, and
people started talking about Bobrovsky. Like there was all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah,
nothing.
Just a bunch of what I will say is mediocre trades. Let's go ahead and get into some of the ones that I thought were decent. I love the move that Columbus made for Connor Garland. Their forward depth is sneaky getting better. And Washington Capitals, what are you doing?
Apparently we tried to get him. I don't know what that means, but
again, great, love it. Logan Stanley and Luke Shen going from Winnipeg to Buffalo. That Buffalo decor is big.
Yeah.
And then they just got bigger with 6'7" human, beanstalk Logan Stanley. So that's a great move for them. I think they're in a position where they're really exciting. They're ready to roll in the postseason. So I think that's a move that only helps them. I know the one I was cracking up about because of your text in our group chat is, why the hell did the Blackhawks trade their literal captain, Nick Foligno, to the Wild?
For future considerations. What the hell is wrong with that team? I have so many Blackhawks friends, and I asked one of them, I was like, what, like, can you, am I missing something? Can you make this make sense to me? And he's like, no, I can't. He's like, I have no idea what the fuck.
The one I mentioned earlier.
Not to mention it's a division rival, by the way. You're
right.
Just giving your division rival your captain and say, I don't know, you can just give me like a bucket of pucks later or something.
Like, I know it's not Marchand to Florida. Like, it's not that caliber of player, but it's still a big deal.
Yeah, I don't know. If you're going to just get future considerations for him, just fucking keep him and let him walk away at, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly. And not to mention that, like, 3 days before they got rid of one of their other better players in Colton Dock, they sent him to Edmonton.
Yeah. No, dude, I don't know what that fucking team is doing. And I think Bedard is starting to get the point where he's like, I don't know what this fucking team is doing either.
Unless they think they're going to get McKenna too.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. Corey Perry going back to the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yep, and David Perron going back to the Red Wings. A lot of nonsense going on.
Yeah, so
Perry got a fight right away in that
of course
Buffalo game too.
Yeah. For those that don't know, David Perron has now played for the Red Wings 2 separate times and the Blues 3 separate times. So that's hilarious.
Really
it's definitely going to be a trivia question at some point. The Islanders paying the deadline pricing tax for Braden Shen. What did you think about that move?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like it for both teams. I mean, yes, they paid a lot. They get rid of Jonathan Drouin, a first-round pick from Colorado for this year, and a third-round pick from New Jersey also for this year. I don't know. I mean, I guess we won't know who won that until we see what the Blues get with those picks and stuff. But I like Shen on the Islanders. I think that's a good. I do too. I think it's a good fit for that team. Yeah.
One of the other ones I was looking at that I know a lot of the Maple Leaf fans were quite unhappy with was the dealing of Scott Lawton to the Kings and only getting a 3rd-round pick out of it. Yeah. When you look at the fact that Nick Dowd required a goalie prospect, a 2nd, and a 3rd.
Yep. Yeah, there was a lot that you could you could compare to and say, well, Scott Lawton's better than this guy, and he got this, so it does feel like they didn't do their homework or something, but yeah.
It is what it is. We had a kind of an interesting 1-for-1 here between the Wild and the Flyers. Bobby Brink goes to Minnesota. David Jiricek goes back to the Flyers. I thought this was a really good, just example of we have this and you need it, and you have that and we need it. And the Flyers have a ton of wing depth, so they clear Bobby Brink and make some room there for some other guys to grow in. And then, the Wild have great defensive depth, and Jiricek just hadn't broken into that roster yet. So, we'll probably get a good kick at the can in Philly. I think there's some guys there that are playing defense that probably won't be next year. So, good depth for the Flyers and the Wild there.
Yeah, no, that's a good play. And then the only other really big one I feel like we haven't touched on at this point. Well, Bobby McMahon to the Kraken, I actually like that one a lot.
That was a good move. I know Leafs fans did not want to see him go.
And I actually kind of thought they could have gotten more for that too.
I agree.
Just a 2nd and a 4th. I mean, McMahon has been a good player for them, so I don't know.
I don't know what Tree Living was thinking this trade deadline, but some of these moves are real head scratchers for the Leafs.
Yeah, and then I also saw this one when the Ducks sent Ryan Strome to the Flames for a 7th-round pick. I almost was like, look, if we wanted like a depth center like Kampf, why wouldn't we just go after Stromer and like bring his brother here. I mean, the other brothers in Hershey too. Like, it seemed like he would have scratched the same itch of the camp thing. I don't know if I'm missing something there, but
no, I agree. I think he's also already scored for Calgary too. It's amazing how some of these new guys have already made an impact. Yeah. Justin Falk to the Red Wings in exchange for Justin Hall, Dmitry Buchnelkov, a first and a third back to the Blues. So good haul for the Blues there. I think that was worth it. I think, good move for the Wings. They're going to need it going forward. But in terms of the Blues, I think you got as much as you were probably going to get there.
Yeah, that's the deadline tax again for sure. Definitely. And then really the only other big one that we haven't talked about is Kadri back to the Avalanche. And,
I feel like we all knew that one was coming. I mean, is it just me or did we all just expect that to happen? I didn't expect it to come at, 4 p.m. when it did, but...
Yeah, that was weird. It felt like, Kadri's not getting moved after everyone said he was going to. One thing that I really liked about this deadline is the Hurricanes didn't get fucking anybody.
Yeah. Well, they went after...
They got Delorier.
They got Delorier, and that was their, oh crap, we're the softest team in the league, and we need someone to make us tougher
literally, yeah.
Except for the fact that in the postseason, you don't want to focus on fighting, and someone needs to put the puck in the net.
Yeah, I mean, he's also probably I guarantee that they're going to scratch him in the playoffs anyway, so it's not even going to matter. So
Exactly. So you can be tough for the next 3.5 weeks.
Have fun. Yeah.
Neat. The Penguins get a really tall bottle of glue. What else do we have here? Huge glue guy. What else was a big move? There's one other one. Oh, Michael Bunting going to the Dallas Stars from Nashville. That's good. I thought a lot more selling was going to come from Nashville because I feel like a lot of guys there are in get me the fuck out of here mode.
That's what it seemed like.
Because it's just not worked ever since they brought that whole group there. I don't know how Marchessault didn't get moved for, a tub of bubblegum, but figured someone would take a pass at that just to load up before making a postseason push.
I thought the same thing.
Even if it was the Avs to use as their extra forward or the Sabres, same thing. I just figured someone was going to take a swing at it. So, but at the end of the day, I think just a really disappointing deadline in terms of what we thought we were going to get and then we ended up getting. So
very much agree.
I guess we have to wait for the offseason or free agency to see what happens to Trocheck, Robbie Thomas, and to Kyrou, which now a lot of people are saying they think was the right move for St. Louis not to move them.
Yeah, which I don't believe was intentional. I fully think they tried their hardest to move them, and they just couldn't find a deal that... I don't think they could find someone that was willing to pay. I think they were asking for what other teams considered to be too much. But
I think that the Thomas deal would have taken a lot to get done as a deadline move. Now, it could still get done, but for what his contract is, too, for the next 5 years... Yeah. That's going to be a really hard one.
People were putting mock trades together for the Caps, saying after we made our moves, saying that because we've been known to make a couple moves and then flip the pick we just got. So people were like, "Oh, are they trying to open something up and get give the?" I think someone said we would give up our first, the first we just got from Anaheim. But then it would still take a McMichael on top of all that just to fucking get. And I don't know if that's worth it.
And probably a prospect too. Yeah, if there's other bidders in there.
That's a steep price. I don't know.
No, I totally agree. I'm not going to lie. I thought for a little while, I was like, okay, if they moved out in Carlson, are they about to do something big here? Which we've kind of been waiting for them to do top 6 for the last 3-4 years. And then it just, it didn't happen. So, disappointing for sure. Let's move on to some stuff going on around the league. Evgeny Malkin suspended 5 games for a hack slash on Rasmus Dahlin. What were your thoughts on the suspension and the slash altogether?
I mean, I think as soon as I saw the clip on Instagram, the first comment was this is the most automatic 5-gamer I've ever seen. And then the next day he gets 5 games. So
it's amazing. I mean,
pretty on the nose.
And maybe this is just me. I didn't realize how much of a repeat offender this guy is. Yeah. Now, counting this, he's only been suspended 3 times. But he's also been fined 5 other times, all of which are like stick related issues.
Yeah.
So
He's a hacker.
Like, and I didn't realize this. I guess I remembered this when I was younger, but like the dude is a complete head case. Like, the whole book on him has always been, if you piss him off, he's going to slash you, cross check you, trip you.
Just get him off his game so quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. And so now the Penguins for the next at least week and a half are without their 1C and 2C while they try and stay afloat in a playoff position. So my thing to you is has there ever been a more boneheaded, I don't care about my team, I only care about my fucking self kind of move in a Penguins uniform?
It's pretty short-sighted for sure. I'm sure after the fact he wished he could take it back, but it's such a spur of the moment, like, bad decision. And
did you see like what he did afterwards too? He then like tried to drop the gloves and be like, oh, I'm gonna like just like fight him now and make it look like we were hacking back and forth.
I did see that.
And Dahlin doesn't even drop his he doesn't even drop his gloves. He's just doubled over trying to put his collarbone back in. Like it's just crazy. But did you think 5 was the right call? Do you think maybe more there, or
I think 5's exactly correct. I think it's appropriate.
I think it's the right number when you remember that he got 5-10 and tossed from the game.
Right.
So it's essentially a 6-game suspension.
Basically.
So, just for housekeeping notes, his prior suspension, obviously this one, 2026, 5 games slashing Dahlin. 2022, cross-checking Mark Borowiecki, he got 4 games. And then 2019, he swung his stick and high-stick Michael Raffl, which he got a game for.
Baseball.
Exactly.
Go play some baseball, buddy.
Exactly. He's going to go take the Jordan route and go AAA after his NHL career is over.
Right. Go over to PNC Park.
Yeah, exactly. No, they could use him. That's for sure.
They could.
And then they'll just trade him away because that's what the Pirates do with talent.
That's right.
Anything else before we wrap up here?
I don't think so. I'm going to just, I guess, keep watching Capitals hockey, and I don't even know if I'm like rooting for us to make the play. I don't know how to watch Capitals hockey anymore, really.
Yeah, it's that weird limbo phase where you're like, I'd really like a better draft pick, but like I also realize what I'm watching and what's coming to an end, so like I kind of want them to like go out on a high note, but it's just painful. I was saying to some friends the other day, I was like, I'm like guilted into like taking all the money I was going to spend on playoff tickets to go see any random crap, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night game I can just to see as many as I can before it's over.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. It's tough, but we'll take what we can get.
Yeah, well said. Well, guys, make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff. Stay tuned for some great clips of Eva this week, and we will be back with you guys next week for another episode.